She's live.
Hey guys, welcome to another corner conversation. This time on Easter. It's Easter week. So we're talking about, well,
Easter.
he is Easter, yes. He is risen.
Do you guys have family? What was your family Easter traditions when you were growing up?
Oh, we had, funnily enough,
Mhm.
one of our Easter traditions revolves around potatoes.
Interesting.
What
Yeah,
does that mean?
there were these hash browns that my mom would make for Easter dinner, and they
Mhm.
didn't come out but 2 or 3 times a year, and they had like heavy whipped cream in them. Oh,
Mhm.
So creamy hash browns?
yeah, not like
Ooh.
soupy, but it was it made the cheese even more kind of melty and
Ah,
oh.
Huh.
Yeah, we always call them the whipped cream hash browns.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're so good.
The way that you described it is interesting, but it does sound delicious when you think about it.
Did uh I think our we had like a Easter morning breakfast at church.
Uh-huh. Yes. And we have a sunrise service and an Easter
So I
breakfast.
think it was sunrise. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. And yeah, I feel like I remember like that was a church, like I'm thinking this is Gethsemane Lutheran
Mhm.
days. I think this was a meal that was done by the men.
Yeah, it
Mm.
was it
Is
was
that a
the
thing?
I think it was the one I can't remember if it was this one or one of them was the one breakfast of the year that the men did.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was like pancakes
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, all the
bacon
and
and
lots of
sausage.
bacon.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, no, we did the whole week. I mean it was Palm Sunday service and then
Yep.
usually Maundy Thursday service or Good Friday, but there was some years where it was Maundy Thursday and Good Friday.
Yeah. All right. So
Hmm
ready? Are you ready?
hmm
For those listeners out there that don't know
What's
what
Maundy
Monday
Thursday?
Thursday.
It's it's Last Supper celebration. It's conversation that's talking about Jesus and his disciples before the
Yep.
arrest and everything.
Yeah.
And then Sunday morning was sunrise service, Easter breakfast, Easter service, and then we went home and my mom would do eggs all over the house and yard for us to find.
Ah.
And a lot of them just had candy in them, and some of them had money, which was great.
Yeah.
And then there was an Easter basket at the end someplace,
Yep.
which was usually big candy, which was great.
We had some 20-year-olds over to our house last night, and still there's the Easter egg hunt is
Yeah.
still a thing
Yeah.
some parents just don't let go.
I think I'll do an Easter egg hunt for you guys.
Thank you.
All across the North Loop.
Yeah, there is an egg. It's out there.
Yes, there's one egg. If you find it,
Yeah.
it's gonna be great.
Um, yeah, I remember I do like the difference of the Good Friday service was something that
Yeah.
I remember as a kid.
Mhm.
Because if again, vague memories, but I do believe wasn't that so in a mainline or a liturgical church, there is the eternal candle, like it's in a red candle holder, it's hanging on the wall up front. But at the Good Friday service, they extinguish it.
I was saying, not my Baptist church.
And so I again
Mhm.
for in the comments for all of you real
Mhm.
Lutheran kids, you
Mhm.
can
Just
comment
yelling
about
it.
how I was
Uh-huh.
wrong. But I do remember there was like I think that candle was extinguished and then there was for sure a like a black cloth was put over the cross in
Mhm.
front
On
and then
Easter morning, was it like they put a purple like
yeah
royal?
yeah
Yeah.
yeah
Hmm
yeah and so that I remember and you were supposed to leave it would say in the bulletin
hmm
on bulletin stock
In bold.
I would say leave
Yeah.
silently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I remember that being different. So we couldn't, man, I was a grass stained kid.
hmm
I just remember just like that would be a church service that you couldn't, we wouldn't go play outside afterwards. Probably it was dark as well.
hmm
But usually, if it was dark, if there was a night service or whatever, that's when we were playing hide and go seek in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Always grass stains.
Yep. Grass.
Always grass stains. And so on Easter, when I was wearing my white
That's
pants,
a good cemetery too.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, Gethsemane. But it's
Weirdly enough,
yeah.
our Easter dinner or with my family was almost always ham.
Hey, wait, why is that a tradition?
I
Is
don't
it is
know
it to let's see how
how far up
unkosher
we
we
can
can
get.
get?
Well, let's go ham, cheeseburger.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Mm.
That's right.
yeah,
The curtain was ripped in half, and the kosher laws were ripped in
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting why that
And
is
the
that way.
ham,
half. It was always ham.
the spiral cut.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, the our conversation on Sunday is, I mean, there are a lot of things that we celebrate, theological things that we celebrate that took place as part of Jesus's resurrection. And and so I may as well say some of them because I think it's again valuable, important, uh, foundational, but also to embrace that they're complex. So we celebrate salvation and again justification. Like words, I've found that words become more complex as I get older, and so there is the simplicity, but also the complexity of words. And so we celebrate that as Jesus rose. It wasn't just congratulations, you're not dead anymore. It's this connection relationship with God, being able to be justified before God. There's new life, new identity. Beautiful that the old is gone. I love the picture of baptism being plunged to death, but then rising again. That picture of that victory over death and sin. It's not that you don't die, and it's not even that you don't have trepidation to death, but that there is hope beyond death, ongoing power and transformation. I think that for me is the most tangible for me that we're invited into this continual participation in being sanctified or being more Christ-like, and that we have Christ interceding on our behalf. And so, great. Like, put them on your, tattoo them on your forearm, all that kind of stuff. But um, I think that it's okay to be honest with I have faith or belief, or I think this is my theology, and boy, I don't know.
Hmm.
And so, is that allowed?
Is that encouraged?
Is that encouraged? That's even a yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of times kind of the mystic nature of kind of what we celebrate is kind of pushed to the side
yeah,
because they're like, ooh, you don't want to be too, you don't want to, kind of go too far afield or whatever, and you need to focus on these constants and these,
yeah,
these strict, this is what we're celebrating, and if you don't get it, that's okay. Just accept it and just,
yeah.
and there's a lot of, I was just what popped up in my mind was the connection that baptism has with
Mm,
this whole journey that Christ did.
yeah.
He died and then he was rose and was raised from the dead, and the there it's okay to not know and to have
Mm,
questions and to have to like dig into it, because I don't think God is trying to deliver to us in its little box that we could easily understand and kind of figure everything out about it. And that kind of that mystery that remains is is okay. It's okay not to understand and still have questions,
yeah,
after having a relationship for with God for years.
yeah. Because like the two extremes are, um, it's beyond your understanding, and so don't even try. And really, you don't understand
Mhm.
why. And so, um, um, yeah, I try to. I think there's value in being able to go. This is beyond my understanding, and boy, I have hope in it,
Mhm.
faith in it.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for Rich to say something enlightening.
It's just interesting. I think at Easter we the practical and the
Mystical.
mystical,
Yep.
spiritual, whatever, come together
Mm.
into this like remembrance. And I think there's a lot of solid foundation and a lot of, and we gotta have faith in that. And
Yep.
then we get to see the tension of it, which is
Yeah.
kind of fun. Just because I even had a conversation last night where someone said something about knowing, and I was like, knowing or have faith in? And like, oh, it's the same. I was like,
Mm.
but is it?
Yeah.
It's, because once you know, you don't, yeah, but that's the, like jumping into Easter, we look at it and we hear the story and we see what happened and we talk about these things that we believe. But if we sat and we were just like, yeah, we know this, and go back and read the story again, we'd be
Yeah.
like, that's wild,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yep. And I think we're going to actually do a dialogue question early in our conversation to just point out that life is full of a lot of complex things. That's hard to know what's actually happening. The wording of the question is what makes it difficult to see clearly what's actually going on the inside. You know. And so somebody asks you, "Are you happy?" You go, sure. I get
mhm.
really,
Yeah, yeah.
really,
Hmm.
do you have selfish or healthy boundaries? Well, what do you mean? Where?
Uh-huh.
Are you listening or are you not listening? You're not listening. So, but it just is
Yeah.
reality. It feels like it's been a kind of recurring part of conversation that I've had with a couple different people, but reality is like the needle on a phonograph. It's like it's real. It just
Note for the phonograph. Old record
record
player.
player.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
And so that touch point, what is actually happening, what is real is
Mhm.
it's not a moment ago or a moment in the future, but what is.
Mhm.
And so when we have these declarations about what is accomplished, as Jesus rises, and what are we celebrating? And are you celebrating? Because
Mhm.
that I think about for a birthday party or whatever, like I do think like the concept of celebration is really abstract. Am I celebrating? What is celebrating? Is it always happening or is it just in this moment? Like all that stuff is
Mhm.
you can kind of spiral into that. But so as we celebrate Easter and we celebrate what is accomplished in the resurrection of Jesus, we have to realize that uh, what people believed in the past or what people will believe in the future, what you believe a moment ago, and like
Mhm.
believe is again maybe where you're at in the process is like
Mhm.
where are you now, and uh, to have it be okay to go complex. I don't know, but sure.
Yeah. I think we get caught up in the moments of
Mm,
celebration, like the Easter, the Christmas. There it is, big things. Okay, cool. And then it's like, oh well, we're gonna get back to Christmas again or Easter again or whatever when it's the idea behind it is the ongoing
mm.
celebration, the ongoing remembrance of all of this that we're talking about,
Yeah,
which that's where the practical and the mystical collide is in the everyday.
yeah. And if you if you don't know the person that you're at the birthday party for,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know one of the or both of the names of the people getting married, can happen.
Hmm.
But that celebration is so different,
It is.
and so when that's good to ponder on that is that so as we celebrate Easter. you can just say, man, we're really gonna celebrate it today. But
Mhm.
it's really built on the foundation of the knowing, the walking out.
Mhm.
And I would say that in these things that this again, salvation, new life, victory over death, this hope, transformation, all these
Mhm.
things, if you just say, all right, well, I'm gonna celebrate what is accomplished by resurrection just today.
Mhm.
Sometime a moving Sunday in spring. Nope, that's really gonna miss it for me.
Mhm. Have you ever been the plus one to a wedding that you just went because you knew the person who invited you? And now you're there and you're going, I don't know anybody here. That celebration is different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But
And I think like I've done some weddings where I've I think I've only done one wedding where I didn't do the premarital counseling.
Mhm.
More likely would be to it's so I've done some funerals where I haven't known the
Mhm.
person at all.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
complicated,
Yeah.
hard. When you say what I've heard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What people say about Jim Bob?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why this hillbilly is always the one who's dead.
I don't know. It's awesome. The actually this I just thought of this kind of played out last year. I got to be a part of. I ushered, I can't remember, but be a part of a wedding for two people that I knew that worked on staff with me at camp.
Yeah.
And we've that could have been people who go to the wedding. There's almost always a moment where it's like, hey, everybody who's here, like these people who are getting married have invited you into their lives to help them
Mm,
have a healthy marriage, like all this stuff. And then how what percentage of the people are actually involved in everyday like healthy life, like all that.
yeah.
But so I got to be a part of this wedding, and then a couple days ago I got a text that was, hey, we don't have a spot to store our car or get away to the airport. Any chance it can we can park it outside your house or whatever? And it was like, yeah, absolutely. So I got to
Mm,
Uber them to the airport, and it was this moment of
mm,
where Anna and I are not just we weren't just in that moment the people going, oh yeah, we're gonna be a part of this. Okay, bye. But
yeah.
there's
Mhm.
actual tangible stuff, and I think that's the same with this.
Yeah.
Is like we don't just celebrate. We don't want to be the people at the wedding that go, oh yeah, we're gonna be alongside you and encourage you and be a part of this. And not
Nothing.
really.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
with Jesus, we want to be the other part of it where it's like, hey, relationship, let's build it. How does this work every day?
Yeah.
You need a ride to the airport, Jesus? I'm in.
Amen. Yeah. And then we're gonna loop into like there are physical things that are really gifts. Uh, I mean, you mentioned a wedding. A wedding ceremony is a physical picture of this internal concept of commitment
Mhm.
and celebrating commitment and lifelong commitment and highs and lows, all that stuff. So, like, what is the power of you can just sign the marriage license with this public declaration of vows and all these things. It's
Mhm.
that's cool. And Scott, you mentioned baptism earlier. I think it was you mentioned baptism earlier,
Mhm.
and this that physical picture of um, I just remembered last summer, talking uh, with Payson and Acadia Olson as they're about to be baptized, and I said, "All
Mhm.
right, now this is pretty intense. Are you ready? It's a
Mhm.
picture of death, of
Mhm.
dying,
Mhm.
being plunged into the water and dying."
Yeah.
They're like, "Ooh, I don't really,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah." But the thing that's really cool about this picture of baptism is that it's not a being plunged for 15-20 minutes.
Mhm.
But it's this
A
being
little while.
plunged in and this pulled out. This baptism is this picture of it's death to life. And like I could just see them go, Yeah, I'm glad that this has this picture of to life things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that picture of what's happening spiritually of dying to old self and again this picture of commitment, new life, new commitment, new era.
Mhm.
And so when we come to the death of Jesus story, and as we're really going to celebrate Easter in this two physical pictures. One is the tearing of the curtain. We see it in Matthew chapter 21, 28,
It's
27.
not 28.
Anyway,
26?
Yeah.
I guess I'm like 27. Matthew 27. So as Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And he gives up his spirit. At that moment, the temple curtain is torn in half, and which I think whether you've heard it a million times over before or it's the first time hearing, to really just to like, all right, what do we celebrate today? Is that you know the history of the people of the temple was that there was the indwelling of God, this presence of God was inside the most holy place. We just see in Leviticus and Exodus, we see this in First Kings, this heaviness surrounding or heavy reverence surrounding this place, to the point of like with irreverence, there's the potential of death, which is pretty intense.
Mhm.
And so it's like if you had a place growing up that you were not allowed to go as a little kid, what are you doing in here?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or if it's maybe if if you're carrying a ladder, you can go anywhere in the world, but like it's like going into the back room without a ladder, like
Yeah.
oh. But this picture of this separation between God and humanity, the general public, was this very tangible physical picture that all the people would see and know. And as they would come in full reverence to bring offering or sacrifice to God, they still could not really go before God.
Mhm.
And that was the cultural no. Like, we know that. I see the curtain, can't. And at Jesus's death, that curtain torn in two was this declaration of complete and free access to God. And that picture should be pondered as we celebrate Easter.
I think about what as that was happening, what must the I don't know, the priest on duty,
Mhm.
Priest on duty.
you know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, and he hears this weird sound, and all of a sudden he watches this.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
must that have been like?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
that is, I mean, totally. You've trained since being a young child to become a priest, and you are steeped in this from,
Mhm.
when you're
Yeah.
just old enough to speak, and then all of a sudden everything is just like flipped upside down.
Yeah.
It's like, like a
Mm.
the nuclear, the guys in the nuclear station at Chernobyl, when that
Mhm.
happened,
Mhm.
Yeah.
everything was going just
Mhm.
totally upside down. And for him, or the who knows how many people were there when it happened, and that must have been
Yeah.
because their whole belief was
Yeah.
on this separation.
Yeah.
And they didn't, they thought, man, Jesus, he's just just
Mhm.
a lunatic.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
I wonder if this is gross speculation, but I wonder if the moment of God kind of knowing, okay, if we leave this curtain here, y'all aren't gonna get this relationship thing,
mhm.
right? It's just like
Yeah.
tear the curtain. Like I think that just that moment of we I'm just thinking about that priest, right? If that hadn't happened, it would have been like any old day.
Right.
Just go. I mean, it would be dark and there'd be zombies, but it's fine. But just like any old day, like
It's in there.
here it is, here's this, oh, here, holy of holies, great. But that's not what happened. What happened was all of a sudden this. It's hard to even call it a curtain. This fuzzy
Yeah.
wall right,
Mhm.
was torn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, okay, so there is something happening. We need to figure this out,
Yeah, it's so
Mm,
funny you bring so in Matthew 26, Caiaphas was the chief priest at that time,
Mhm.
and to like the story's pretty personal in his experience. Uh, they plotted and schemed how they could arrest Jesus and see that he's killed,
Mhm.
and then to have that experience of your whole job, your role, um, the you know the position of chief priest was came with this again with reverence, with process to have access into this most holy place,
Mhm.
and then to have God go, yeah, actually, your job's not so important.
Yeah.
mm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
And we're gonna end our so we will talk about that and the picture of that. Um, you know, and did it have to happen? Was that, or was that really just what a generous picture? I think that's
yeah,
my words. What a generous picture of what was really happening. But then we're going to back up again another couple steps in the narrative in the story, and we're going to celebrate communion together. And again, so what is this picture? What is accomplished? And the thing that I can't get away from in Jesus's celebrating of this was that um, as he took the cup, as he took this bread, is that he could have said, watch me eat it, watch me drink it, but he said, but this is for you, take and drink. And the beauty of that is we just celebrated the a Passover Seder as a church community. A group of us did that. Uh, to think about again, they're having this regimented remembering of their of deliverance from their slavery to Egypt, and the three cups, the matzah that was part of this celebration of this being delivered from Egypt. Jesus is going, all right. So whenever you drink this cup or eat this bread, I'm telling you, it is about this deliverance from slavery of Egypt, but I'm also telling you it's about me being this bread that's broken for you,
mhm,
this cup, this blood spilled for you, so that there's a new deliverance from slavery from your old life, from sin, from failure, and from separation from God. The temple
mm,
curtain will tear, and
yeah.
to walk that out.
I just this week wrote a communion explanation for kids
Mm.
that just for parents to hopefully a foundation for them to talk to their kids about
Yeah,
communion.
yeah.
And I for so I sent it to Mitch and said, "Did I miss anything?" And his response was, maybe just give parents a little bit more at the beginning so they can talk about why like belief and relationship with Jesus is important because I had completely forgotten the Genesis 3 fall, why did Jesus
Mm.
have to die moment? Because we've talked about it so much and we talked
Yeah.
about like that reason in the gospel presentation and everything. But just to go back and look at it and go, okay, there's import here. There's
Mm.
importance to remember this thing because it's important because of this. And I
Yeah.
think that we were talking about the celebration continuing,
Yeah.
that like explaining communion does not need to be a big high church thing. Because
Mm.
what Jesus did was he sat down and he went, I've got bread, I've got the cup, my body will be broken for you, and this cup represents your like a covenant with you and me,
Yeah.
your salvation. Like, and let's drink together. Like it was a remembrance immediately,
Yeah.
and then it continues to be that. So the way that I explained the very end of it was uh we take communion just like his disciples did in remembrance for what he did and as a reminder to be like him every day. Like there's an
Yeah.
action to it. Uh and then it's just for the kiddos. We take communion as a reminder to love people, be kind, do good, the good works that are set for us, and a reminder that we are loved by God. There's a two-part thing to communion, not just a we do it and remember. We do it and remember because God did stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that that's so important in the Easter story and in the ongoing is that we're not just doing this one thing and that's the end of it, and now we've got our Jesus for the year and etc. It's that we're doing this one thing to remember the things that we get to do.
And doing and doing and
Yeah,
doing and
yes,
doing.
exactly. And being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And as we live that out, celebration really gets some legs underneath it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Celebration becomes being.
Yeah. Yep. That's great. Well, happy Easter. And hope, again, if you, it doesn't have to be Easter, that there used to be a phrase, C&E people,
Yeah. Christmas
Christmas
and
and Easter
Easter. Yeah.
people. And I don't, I'm sure that that still exists as reality. But again, to encourage, to welcome, if you hear this, come to church, be part of church. But if you hear this also too, to just be an inviter of people to come and be a part of celebration, to be part of the community, and and also too to be honest and real with your experience of what we're celebrating, in its beauty and its complexity, and invite people to do the same.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Bye.